Hello again, it's Noob, and in my last video I just showed you how you can impression a lock with a blank key, and this is the key which I made just by impressioning this Eurocylinder core. And you can still see the bite marks of the vice grips I used to hold the lock and the actual key itself. It's quite a violent process. And it got me thinking, just randomly, about shimming cores, and I thought, do you know what? I haven't actually seen a video dedicated. There's probably one out there on how to use core shims. I've seen them used in videos, but not one dedicated to it. So I thought I'd show you what they are. So core shims can be bought, and the best place I found to buy them is Sparrows lockpicks, and they come in all sorts of different sizes. You can see that this one here is the largest size, and then you've got some smaller size ones here. If you look, they're made of very, very, very thin metal, a lot thinner than an aluminium can. You can use bits of aluminium can or steel can in place of a core shim, but you're going to be able to use it in less places. These are made of a good quality steel, and they're very, very thin. Another tip is that for a smaller size shim like this, you can sometimes use the strip of metal found sometimes on those white radio frequency tags that you used to get on CDs. Whether you still get them on CDs or not, I don't know. So how can you use a shim like this, and why would you use a shim? There's a couple of other purposes of using shims, like removing the sliding bolt from something like a shutter lock. But in terms of Euro cylinders and rim cylinders and other lock cores like that, even key and knobs, they're used by and large for two purposes. One, if you don't have a key, or even if you're too lazy to pick it, you can slide the shim between the core and the Bible and push or rake the pins up while gently applying very gentle pressure so that it can slide past the pins, and essentially you can move it so it blocks the shear line, allowing the driver pins to be kept up in the Bible and the core to be removed. Also, you notice that on a lot of locks you get tail pieces like this. Now, this one isn't so bad, but some of them have bigger grooves than this, where things like the circlip holes round, and when you're gutting a lock, sometimes the pins will fall in here and jam, and that is such a pain. You can alleviate some of that problem by covering up any gaps at all at the tailpiece of the lock by using a shim. I'm actually going to demonstrate both things here. So what do I need? Well, I'll need a circlip removal tool to first of all remove the circlip from the back. This will allow us to see the whole of the back of the lock. So I'm just going to pop this on and use its excellent functionality. There we go, to pop that off. I really like this. This is from the Huck 12-piece lock disassembly kit. Go check them out if you've not seen one. And now we've got a locked up core. I of course can use the key to turn it, and I can then start to pull the core out as long as I keep the pins up here. I won't do that just now because this isn't the technique I want to show you. So what will I need to sort of pick open the lock relatively quickly, and use a shim to do it? Well, first of all, you need a shim which is going to get you all the way to the first pin. So if you had a very short shim like this, that's not going to cut it. This needs to be able to be pushed in all the way to reach there. This shim is perfect. One of the smaller shims, if you look at the size, would not be right. So it's always important to have the right size. Second of all, you need to gently slide the shim down between the core or the plug and the Bible. Now this you need to be very gentle with. Okay, these ones are commercial, so they've got a slight curve, so they're designed to do that. They've moved all the way in till it hits the pin. So if I slide it back out and do that, you can see that I've definitely hit the pin there. So gently. Now, not every lock you can even slide a shim into. Not even a commercially available one. Some of these lock tolerances are really tight. Then what you want to do is just keep your finger just on the back and go in and gently rake those pins. Okay, I've got a Sparrows snake rake, and what you can do is just gently rake the pins back and forth, and oh, I've got a slide. So I'm just applying some pressure. By the way, if I put too much, this will buckle. So what I'm doing is I'm just applying some raking to those pins, and hopefully if I rake them nicely I will set those pins, and I'll be able to move the shim forwards a notch. So you can rake. Another way to do it is, forget this, is use a hook. This involves a little bit more precision. I'm just going to add some pressure from my finger and go in and just gently lift the pins once at a time until that shim can advance forwards. Okay, I've advanced it forwards a bit more, and you're just going pin to pin really. You're just moving it up. You're not trying to pick it per se, and you're not trying to add tension to the core at all. You're literally just trying to touch the pins, move them up as far as they need to go. Oh, that was quite high, and again we've slid it in. And it's also important not to let this turn round. If this turns around too far, of course all the pins will drop, so there's nothing wrong with just adjusting it slightly to get it centered. Okay, so I might go back to the rake and do a couple. I just want to show you that it's all about just lifting the pins the right height. It's not about really anything else. So you can use a rake as long as you're gentle. This is quite a gentle process. And if you don't want to use a rake, then you can go back and use the hook or whatever you want really, half diamond, snowball, and we're advancing. I think, do you know what, I reckon that we're almost there. If I get this one to compare, you can see that at the moment this is actually on the last pin, so all I need to do is lift this last pin, and if I can get that there, I'll see if I can do it front facing so you can see what I'm actually doing inside the lock. So at the moment I can't advance it. I just lift the pin up a little bit, and down, and what I'm trying to do is just get that shim all the way in. Okay, once it is all the way in, the whole plug should be able to push through. I can't push that at the moment. That means that I haven't moved the shim far enough in the lock. And we're there. So look at that. Now this will also demonstrate how you use the core, the shim, to stop the pins falling through the core. Currently the pins are directly at the top. If I try to remove the plug this way without the shim, it'll move forwards one space, the pins would advance forwards, and it would jam again. With the shim in place, I don't even need to turn the core. I can just keep that shim in place like that and use it to follow, to use it to stop the pins from falling through the gap and being trapped on the little gap on the tailpiece there. So that's how you use a core shim. It's just a way to get into a lock without much picking skill, but the thing is you need to have the lock actually open and off a door. You can't do this while it's in place at all. This is for servicing your locks and seeing what's inside and repinning them and that kind of malarkey. Okay, so there you go. I hope you and of course you can move the shim at this point. That's done its job, and you'll see that because I was gentle, I haven't hurt the leading edge of this at all on the pins, and I can of course slide it back in nicely. So I hope you found that interesting. I hope now you know a little bit more about core shims. They're very useful in the right situation. Look after them, they're quite fragile, and yeah, I got mine from Sparrows lockpicks, and I'm really pleased with them. I use them actually a whole lot more than I thought I would. Okay, I'll see you next time.